enemies, including so-called Islamic State, without the explicit authority of the United Nations Security Council. The Prime Minister said that the formal backing of the UN was always preferable, but he said Britain's security should not be dependent on, for example, Russian support at the Security Council. Our correspondent Vicky Young reports now on the international response.
France is hitting back with force. This is the flagship of the French Navy. The aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle now heading to the eastern Mediterranean. With 38 jets on board, it will dramatically increase their capacity to carry out airstrikes against IS targets in Syria. One of Britain's most advanced warships, HMS Defender, will provide air cover for the French. But could our jets soon be joining the bombing raids?
Questions to the Prime Minister.
In the Commons, David Cameron said it was always better to get United Nations approval, but Russia threatened to block a UN resolution.
What matters most of all is that any action we would take would both be legal and would help protect our country and our people right here. You cannot, as I said yesterday, outsource to a Russian veto the decisions we need to keep our country safe.
Russia might not agree with the West about who should govern Syria, but it is now coordinating its efforts against IS with the French. Ministers here want Britain to play its part. The government sounding increasingly confident that it will win a vote here in the Commons on Syrian airstrikes. One senior cabinet minister said to me, "We're going to war." But it will need the support of some Labour MPs, and work is going on behind the scenes to make sure they're on side. Dozens could now vote with the government in defiance of their leader. For those who oppose military action are watching events in Paris, more vulnerable to attack. Today, the Labour leader suggested a different approach.
Looking to the European Union and other forums, if necessary, consider sanctions against those banks and companies, and if necessary, countries who turn a blind eye to financial dealings with ISIL which assist them in their work.
Yes, go after the money, go after the banks, cut off their supplies, but don't make that a substitute for the action that's required to beat these people where they are.
The divisions in Labour over this are adding to their troubles over security and defence policy. They say they need more details from ministers.
We look forward to seeing what the Prime Minister's plan is, but we think part of that should be seeking the support of the United Nations.
For now, British jets continue to hit targets in Iraq. But ministers insist there's a perfectly sound legal base for extending that to Syria. Vicky Young, BBC News, Westminster.
So here's one of the questions posed tonight. If David Cameron does secure parliamentary support at some stage for airstrikes in Syria, what impact would that have? What would be the potential repercussions? Frank Gardner is with me, our security correspondent. Frank, what's your reading of the situation if that vote goes through, if this action does take place? What's there?
I think the primary thing is that Britain doesn't want to be left out. It's a P5 permanent member of the UN Security Council, and they don't want to be left out of whatever future action is gradually being built up towards. There are cogs turning, I sense, in Whitehall, without us even knowing exactly what's going on, but behind the scenes, people are looking ahead to a stage where, quite possibly, Islamic State are going to get driven out of Mosul and withdraw to Raqqa. At some future date, there is going to be a political settlement in Syria that, quite possibly, actually sees the Syrian government invite Western coalition countries to come in and destroy ISIS, either on the ground or from the air. And Britain doesn't want to be left out of that. So the military side of this is only one part of the diplomatic and political effort that is being made to try and resolve the Syrian conflict and deal with ISIS in the Middle East once and for all.
Thanks very much, Frank Gardner. That was our security correspondent. Well, a British couple who were in the Bataclan Theatre in Paris last Friday night have described the moment that they realised something was terribly wrong. Maria and Patrick Moore from Southampton were enjoying the gig when they heard what they thought initially were firecrackers. Our special correspondent Lucy Manning reports now on the survivors.
It said it was sold out, but it didn't seem to practice in the release. They were the tickets that nearly cost them their lives. Patrick and Maria Moore from Southampton were at the Bataclan in Paris when the music stopped.
All I could see were the actual shots, and again, I didn't even know it was shots. I thought they put a new
thing in the set, when we made it fireworks, I was saying that I would try it out because no, I didn't see it at all. All I saw was the crackles. It was the third round of shots. That's when Pat had actually got me by the cone and threw me out the door.
They call this the exit that saved our lives, not knowing when they took the picture this would be their escape route.
But when we went into the side street, we could hear them, the gunfire was getting closer, we could hear them, and we were worried that they were coming behind us. And we then got our friend, went back to get our friend, managed to pull him out, he had his shoulder broken, so he couldn't move, couldn't breathe very well.
Their friend Brian survived after they braved the gunfire to go back and help him.
Went out the door, I think we probably made about 10 foot into the side street, looked around to see where he was, no sign of him, so just went back towards the door as he was coming out. The bloke older than him was walking back to the ambulance, but there was about 8 or 9 people with gunshot wounds on the first side there. I took a quick look at it and said, we can't see to you. If you can walk to the hospital, it's Brian.
Just before the attack, they'd taken photos of the band on stage and captured the moment singer Jesse Hughes looked up as he heard shooting. As they got their friend Brian out, they saw the musician again.
And as we were rushing him up the road, the singer of the band and his girlfriend went flying past us, shouting, "Run, baby, run."
With so many people killed that night, the music fans are sure of one thing.
We really were lucky, weren't we?
We were.
Lucy Manning, BBC News.
Ken Livingstone, the former Mayor of London, has had to apologise unreservedly for suggesting that a Labour colleague was disturbed and needed psychiatric help. The remarks were directed at the MP Kevin Jones, who questioned Mr Livingstone's appointment to head a review of Labour policy on nuclear weapons. This report from our Deputy Minister James Landale does contain some passionate issues.
Ken Livingstone and Jeremy Corbyn are old allies, campaigning together for Labour's leadership and against nuclear weapons. But when Mr Livingstone was made a co-chair of the party's defence review, MPs who support Trident were not happy. Kevin Jones, Labour's deputy defence spokesman, said Mr Livingstone would damage the party's credibility on the issue. But the former Mayor of London said Mr Jones was depressed and disturbed, and I think he might need some psychiatric help. What Ken Livingstone had forgotten, or not known about Mr Jones, was this.
In 1996, I suffered quite a deep depression.
At first, Mr Livingstone refused to apologise.
Well, I've been in Parliament for 15 years, so I have no idea about his mental state. But it's completely unacceptable for a Labour MP to attack Jeremy Corbyn's appointments in this abusive way. I grew up in South London with someone who dreams to really got accident.
But when Labour MP after Labour MP protested, Jeremy Corbyn called him personally to demand an apology. He grudgingly put out a statement on social media saying he unreservedly apologised to Mr Jones for his comments. They shouldn't have been made at all. Mr Jones was not impressed.
Well, people can have political differences, but I think to use mental illness as a tool to attack somebody you disagree with on a political issue, I think it's disgraceful. His comments, frankly, are in the dark ages, and that's where they should stay.
And Kevin Jones's boss, who Mr Livingstone described as mad for supporting Trident, was equally unhappy with his appointment to her committee.
So I found out about it on social media.
How do you feel about working alongside Kevin instead?
I'm sad about it. He's, I've known him for many years, I'm sure.
How do his views on Trident compare to yours?
Well, I think they're different, last I heard.
This row matters not because it reveals a confusion over Labour's defence policy or that some MPs fear a loss of credibility over national security issues. It matters because it shows just how dysfunctional this party has become in Westminster and how the gap between its leader and its MPs is growing. James Landale, BBC News, Westminster.
Let's have a brief look then at some of today's other news stories. Police say that they're now treating the disappearance of Kaylee Haywood in Leicestershire as a murder. A teenager went missing on Friday, and police have found her mobile phone and other belongings. 2 men have been rearrested on suspicion of murder. 2 people have died and 5 others have been injured in an explosion at a steelworks in Cardiff. Fire service was called to Celsius Steel at just after 10:30 this morning. An investigation has been launched into what caused the explosion. Britain's coal-fired power stations will all be closed within 10 years. Ministers say that an advanced economy should not have to rely on polluting, carbon-intensive stations. Plants with carbon capture systems will continue to operate. Many will be replaced with gas-fired stations, but Green campaigners say there should be far more use of renewable sources. The BBC could lose its Red Button service as part of efficiency savings of £150 million. The Red Button replaced the old CFAX service. It acts as an extra channel during special events such as Wimbledon and Glastonbury. Some sports coverage and television output are also likely to be cut. One of rugby union's greatest ever figures, former New Zealand star Johnny Logan, has died suddenly at the age of 40. He'd been suffering from a rare kidney disease. Tributes have been paid by fans from around the world. One of the best players of all time, who combined immense power with dazzling pace. Our sports correspondent Joe Wilson looks back at his life and many achievements.
This is the moment when rugby union changed because of one man, Jonah Lomu. Winners had always run past opponents, he could run through them. The 1995 World Cup semi-final, Jonah Lomu was 20. He scored 4 tries against England. That size, that strength, with that speed, a combination no one had imagined.
I just think he was a unique person. He's never been a journalist. Everyone's tried to manufacture one, or try to put forwards out into the backs, and try to put someone on the wing that had the same size, but there's no one like him. To be honest, there will be.
Jonah Lomu's route into rugby was his escape from his surroundings. Growing up in Auckland, he'd been stabbed, an uncle and a cousin murdered.
The problem with that was I had all this anger that was always built up, and the only place that I could find it after the police was actually on the rugby pitch.
Did you have to watch this again?
He did far more than just play. Lomu led his sport into its professional era. Instantly recognisable, he was marketable. England opponents were happy to join him.
Alright, Jonah. Yeah.
And Lomu was happy to recreate his finest moments for children's television. Lou Peter here. Whoever he flattened, it wasn't personal. Said Lomu offered pre-match prayers to protect all players. This is as close as Rob Andrew got to him back in '95.
A gentle giant in many ways. I mean, not so gentle when he had the ball in his hands, but even then he had a smile on his face when he was running over you or around you. He just loved playing. He loved the ball in his hands as a winger. And off the field he was incredibly humble.
Okay, well, what makes Lomu's story so extraordinary is that he constantly fought against his body. He lived with a serious kidney disorder. Even after a transplant, he made a comeback. Through his playing days and beyond, he bore the condition cheerfully, refusing to be restricted. Just weeks ago, Lomu was in England using his fame to promote the Rugby World Cup. He needed regular dialysis wherever he went. The shock is fundamentally that a man so famous for being so strong would lose his life so young.
Tributes to the great Jonah Lomu, who died at the age of 40. Now, before we go tonight, and in just a few minutes, we will be joining our news teams where you are. A final word about the events in Paris, and it comes from Antoine Lelis, whose wife died in Friday's attacks. He's written an open letter to the killers, telling them that he'll never forget his soulmate, but insisting that he and their young son will not be able to live their lives in fear.
On Friday night, you stole away the life of an exceptional being. The love of my life, the mother of my son, but you will not have my hatred. I do not know who you are, and I don't want to. You are dead souls. The God for whom you kill so blindly made us in his image. Each bullet in my wife's body would have been a wound in his heart. Therefore, I will not give you the gift of hating. Responding to hatred with anger would be to give in to the same ignorance that has made you what you are. You want me to be afraid, to cast a mistrustful eye on my fellow citizens, to sacrifice my freedom for security? You lost. I saw her this morning. She was just as beautiful.